All right. So allegedly, say allegedly, we're on. See if
It
I
says
get
we are.
meetings and lives. Oh yeah, you got it. Got it. All right. Usually I get a notification on like Facebook saying like I'm live and I'm here to stay. Yep. All right. Let's see if there's volume. That's the key. Remember we did a show once. It was like not in volume the entire time. Look at that. Everything's. Look at that. It's amazing.
Everything's crisp and beautiful.
All right. Yes. All right, everybody. It's the Arty 84 show live. 229 episodes at this point. We've always the Adam Mallet to the left here on the screen.
Hello.
Why is mine saying? Oh no! All right, it's my fucking mouse was in the way. Look like I was on mute. Mute. I was not mute. But yeah, it's we're here again. Did you happen to watch that video I sent you?
I watched the first like 15 minutes. Yeah.
Okay. So I don't know how it came up in my algorithm. I was just kind of like I have it like just randomly going through stuff. Now I recognize the girls once I've seen the clip when they're in the so basically it was these three girls, the triplets, the redheads. So you guys might be familiar with them.
Yeah, just to recap for everyone.
Yeah. So the original name of the group was called like Taylor what the hell is it called? It was called like
Taylor Red.
Taylor Red's what they go by now.
Yeah.
But it was called something else before. Now the reason I figured out why they go by Taylor Red is because it's the opposite of so you have Taylor Swift, right? And she had an album Red. So Taylor Swift Red, Taylor Red. Now, did you get to the point where they showed you how most of their clicks and stuff come from the Philippines?
Oh, I did not get that far.
Okay, so that you got to go. So you got to go. It's a little long-winded. He probably
that's why I felt like he was starting to repeat the same thing over and over again. So I was going to ask you: is there any resolve at the end of this?
So these three girls, you must have seen them on the Dairy Queen commercial. I mean, Sonic commercial rather. They're in the car with their dad. And they're eating like stuff. They're like three redheaded girls.
Yeah, and it shows like their promotions, and somehow they have their shorts, and they're able to duplicate like content with the title, and he wasn't sure how you could do that.
Yes, and I'm not even sure how they're making money because not until February 1st of this year you can make money on shorts on YouTube. But
it might not be.
What's that?
They might just have a rich family background.
Well, so they come from a farm in the middle. They're like I don't know, like they're from like the middle of Missouri, and they sing at like church and stuff like this. So this is what I think would happen. I think what happened was they sing, they can play instruments and stuff because the guy found one video left on the internet of them actually playing live. And I think they got into one of those websites where you could pay money each month to get views and to get subscriptions, and that's why. If he was going down of all the comments, and none of the comments were basically like legit English. They were like broken English, and like it was like, and they never.
It didn't match. Like the number of responses, like you can kind of feel like, why did they have this many views when they don't have this many? You can kind of
yeah, and they had all these followers on TikTok and stuff, and the numbers just weren't matching. And like if their views of their videos were only like 3,000 for someone who has like 5 million subscriptions, you should have way more than 3,000 views every time you post a picture. So my concluded, and that's kind of what he did too, was I forget his name was like Grant something or Grady something. He does country music stuff on YouTube. And basically what he concluded is what I thought too. I think they paid for a system, right, to get all these subscriptions and all these like everything. And because they don't necessarily get you views, they just get you the subscriptions and they get you like comments and stuff like that, right, to help the algorithm. And because that's why only like 15% of them are coming from the United States, which is very odd if they're singing country music, and country music the origin is in the United States.
It really doesn't work if you suck. Like if your content is like whatever, no one really cares. You can pay for all that shit all you want,
right?
It's not going to really matter.
And what I think what happened was they got what they needed out of it, and basically they realized they were making more money just being like influencers instead of actually singing and stuff, right? So they kept doing these. You see how they're doing like balloon popping things and
stuff? And like he was saying how their videos and how they made some of their videos were getting more views because those were interesting.
I mean, it's weird because I mean they're 32 years old, so they're not like kids, right? It's a little old for the demographic. And I guess they were in a contract with some company that made them like have to go on tour, so they had to do a limited amount of tours and stuff like that. And it was for they showed a zoom out for like the audience who were there. They're all people over the age of 65. So this company was booking like community centers, like where old people hang out, and they were booking community centers. So they were just going around singing to a bunch of old people that really don't use YouTube or anything of that nature. You know what I mean?
Kind of sad. It's all kind of sad if you think about
it. Yeah, it's like
really want it that bad. Like
I was kind of like, wow, this is like I was. That's why I sent it to you, because I was like, this is very, very odd and interesting at the same time. I'm like, I had mixed emotions. I was like, I at first I was like, maybe, but like the numbers weren't making sense. And
it's kind of pathetic. I kind of see it as pathetic. Like, I mean, you really want to be recognized that much that you're willing to throw this much money so people see you, and it's not like, why?
Well, so he made a good point, right? So he goes, they were endorsed by like 20 different corporations, right? Including obviously Sonic, right? So his theory was, which makes sense, was that, you know, they could go to like, say, Burger King, right? And be like, you know, you should put these people in your Burger King commercial because they have 5 million subscribers and X amount of people on TikTok. Like, and some executive who doesn't do any research would be like, wow, that's a lot of people. Just put them on. You know what I mean? Instead of actually digging deep and saying, well, they don't really have enough views. Like, it doesn't make any sense. You know what I mean? So they're using those numbers to kind of like fake it till they make it, essentially, right? But I went into a deep dive on them, and I was just trying to get some information out of them. It's just like these 3 girls that live in this house all day and they just do this. And then they also really put the same video, like you said, the same videos on over and over again, which is odd because YouTube usually flags that if you put the same video up twice.
It's not the same video, it's the same title.
Same time, but he said towards the end, they were
okay.
So they were like screenshotting their videos and then posting that video as a separate video.
The whole situation reminds me of something similar 4 years ago, and he's still around. He's back. He was in jail. This rapper called Jack G from England, and I'll say almost kind of the same thing. And I speculate that he just comes from a rich background and pays. He has actual albums. He's a rapper, and he's a horrible rapper, like horrible. And some of his videos, like you think they're almost a parody, but no, like it'll be a video of like him at a premiere, and like there'll be like a line and be like, who's coming? They'll be like, oh, Jack G. People are like, who's that? But like he's posting this on his channel as if like he's the man.
Was he as good as a rapper as me with that freestyle I sent you the other night?
Dude, you might be better. Like I'll have to say, like we're doing a deep dive on there's been a few people in Britain who have done videos and like, why is this guy have this many followers? Maybe like doesn't make any sense. Like he has actual albums, who's buying them, and like he doesn't really have an audience, and no one really understands like this guy. You should I'll send it to you. It's really bizarre.
Same with these girls too. Like they have like 5 like tracks they had recorded, and like it's not terrible. But they just didn't have the views on Spotify that you would think that someone that had 5 million subscribers on YouTube would have way more listens on Spotify.
Well, it's generic. There's nothing about them that's like that amazing. Like that's so.
I feel like most of the people on like these like influencers and stuff like this, it's all backed by a lot of money getting poured into it. Like that Charlie girl, right? Like you're telling me.
Well, she made it though. She was like that's because she was like one of the first on TikTok to really.
Right, but there was definitely money thrown behind that too. I mean, they just came from a very wealthy family. And the father was a politician and like a big like time. I mean, here's the thing: if you have,
I think chicks are different. Like if you're a girl, you have a better chance if you're mildly attractive.
Oh,
because
he's gonna be half decent looking.
Yeah.
Are you playing something?
Yeah, I am. I'm trying to find that Jack G. Sorry.
I thought I was having a fucking stroke. I was like, I'm hearing voices in the headphones, and I'm like, but you're looking like you're not like watching something. I'm like, am I hearing things? Or who's my Donaldson seeing ghosts?
Yeah, I'll have to send it to you. This video. This guy is fucking douche.
Yeah, check him out. You know, it's one of those things. It's like, but like, as you know, when we break it down, you need tons and tons and tons of views to get money, right? Like, it's not like you can't just get like you're getting like pennies on the view. Like half.
We need the minutes, not even the view, the minutes too.
Right. So like you're looking at that, it's like, okay, that's odd. I mean, I guess if they have nothing better to do, they're from like the middle of nowhere in Missouri. So like, I guess for us, this would be like a waste of time. For them, I guess there's nothing else to do. So maybe it's not a waste of time.
I guess, but if they're like in their 30s, like that's actually kind of pathetic. Like it's like you don't have a real job. What do you do? Like that's your life. Like you really make enough. So. That's why I think they come from a family with money. Like there's no way. Don't you have to work? Like whose house is that? Like,
exactly, right? And they have like every video has a new costume, right? And like the music videos they have that they posted, like that didn't get very good views, are actually pretty well produced. So like those, that's not something someone's doing on like, you know, GarageBand or like you know what I mean? That's multi-camera shot. That's some production time going into it. So it makes you wonder, you know?
Yeah. Ah.
But you know what? I feel like the majority of internet's like that. It's like, remember Lonely Girl 15? Do you remember
Yes.
that?
Yes.
And then there's this girl, if you guys don't know out there, Lonely Girl 15, probably like 15 years ago, was this girl, this cute girl. She would go on YouTube and she would tell all these stories, and and she get all this like sympathy from all these guys, like, oh, this girl, how are you so lonely? You're so beautiful, all that stuff. And every day would be a new video, and she'd post it, and she made like tons of money off it. Actually, I think they made a movie about it. And then she like kind of pushed it, and she kind of was just fucking with everyone. And like the last video she posted, it was her like saying that she had died because she had joined a religious cult and she bled out. But then she came back like 5 years later and said, well, I escaped the cult, and she tried to get it back going again. But at that point, like the jig was up. Like it was just like, I think it was just some girl bored at her dorm room. It was like, all right, I'm post something. All right, like, because remember when YouTube first came out, like 2007, maybe 2005.
I'm looking it up right now. Yeah, original release 2006.
2006. Okay, yeah. So that would have been right when I started the radio station, a year after at Wentworth. So yeah,
well, it's a web series. They discovered it was a web series.
No, it was a web series. Yeah, well, it turned into a web series. I think it was originally like I don't think it was meant to be a web series initially. I think it was just like a daily vlog that turned into a web series kind of thing. You know what I mean? Because I think that follows. But when did YouTube come out? Do you have the day of that?
Right? Yeah, that's when it started to kind of take off. But these are some of the early people that were part of it. Like anything else, you get in early, you know, that's what it is. You know.
Well, because remember the back in the day, the qualifications to get monetized on YouTube were way, way low. Like they monetized anyone. Actually, I think when it first came out, you were monetized if you signed up for it. You didn't need a minimum of so many hours and so many subscribers.
2005.
Okay, so yeah, so it's exactly when I started radio at Wentworth, and because we used to take clips from YouTube and played them on the radio show, because that was the only way to do it back then. There wasn't even a lot, because we used to have to use E-Bomb World. Remember E-Bomb's World?
Yes. Oh God.
That's where we got the majority of our clips for the radio show. We went on there, and then when YouTube came out, and you gotta remember, everyone was doing these vlogs, and everything was so grainy. The quality of cameras was shitty. Webcams in 2005 were garbage, right? There was nothing great.
It was all. I watched a documentary on this. The amount of pet videos that were on there were insane, because people were trying to figure out what to do with this channel. Like people, like, what do I want to record? I want to record, but I don't know what to do with this. Right. And they would just record their pets. You know.
And if you look at most of the vloggers that make money, like Adam the Woo, you know what I mean, and stuff, or the Nomadic Fanatic. These guys all came on around like 2009 to 2011, so like a good 10 years ago. Before the monetization thing, qualifications were higher. Before anyone actually really knew. Like, I mean, the stuff that's on there, I was doing anyways. I just didn't know how to. Like, I was filming videos with me. I would go on trips and stuff on my all my little adventures, and filming it on my camcorder, which I'm actually using now to film for the radio show. And I just have hours and hours and hours and hours of files on my computer that I had no idea what to do with. Like, what am I supposed to do with this? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if I only knew then, I don't know how I even found these guys. It had to be, it was a slow day in 2017. Oh, maybe no, before that. No, because the other one who showed me the bright light film guy.
Yes.
So that's when I started watching YouTube on a regular basis. That would have been 2015, 2016.
Yeah.
Ish. So I was a little late on that. But I was using it for so many years. Like you said, no one knew what to do with it. It was just kind of like this website. It was just there. And that's probably why, they sold to Google, because Google probably, he was like, all right, yeah, we'll take it.
It's worth, YouTube is worth about $28 billion today.
That's fucking crazy. And how much did Google buy it for? Do you know?
I have no idea.
$1 million maybe?
Pennies on the dollar, that's for sure. Yeah.
It's unbelievable. I also heard, Spotify, Spotify, everyone knows Spotify. That basically what they're doing, or one of the things they do is basically they'll go and, like, say you're a musician, you're playing some music, right? And you will post it on like SoundCloud. Spotify will buy that song off of you, right? So say you're some guy that's in your basement, right? You know, they're like, we'll pay you. Let's just say, I don't know how much money, but let's say $1,000, right? Hey, we'll pay you $1,000 for that song. And you say, oh, cool. But now Spotify owns the rights to that song. So you write a song, whatever, you sell it to Spotify, you no longer have the rights to it anymore. Now Spotify will insert that song into their playlist, like mix it in with other songs and stuff like that as like buffer music, basically. And the reason they do that is because they don't have to pay royalties on that song. So they own the song, so they play it for free because they don't have to pay royalties. Like they have to pay royalties to every artist that puts their music on there and plays it. And it's something they've been starting to do. They've been looking for like small artists that like about to break through. And like picture you're a guy, you're playing in a band, and you like, you know, you're finally getting some notification, you know, some people are listening to you, and Spotify comes around and offers you a amount of money for your song. I mean, what do? Do you take the chance and say, no, man, I'm going to make it, so you can't have it? Or do you say, yeah, all right, I'll sell it for you. You know what I mean? It's like, which is smart on the Spotify's side, because like I said, they don't got to pay royalties for it. If they own the song, they're just streaming music that's theirs, technically, you know, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah, no, it's kind of similar to what Hollywood does with like scripts that people write. Like, you know, you write something, you copyright it, and, you know, 1 in a million chance, but like, let's say somebody sees it and likes it, studio say, I'm going to offer you $200,000 for this. And you say you need the money. You're not going to say no.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, they buy that and then they lock it up and it never sees the light of day.
Right. They can never use it, or 20 years from now, they'll dig it out and use it, or
say that, oh, I'll use this. And then someone touches it up and edits it, and then they claim it as their own. Yeah.
Which kind of leads me into the next thing, that AI thing we were looking at today.
That was awesome.
So I was playing after you left. I played it for a little bit more, and I started getting really detailed of stuff. So basically, it's this website. I forget the name of the website. I wrote it down. It's still at the computer work, but it's this AI website. You go on to you make a username and you get on. It's free. And basically what you do is you have a chat box and you go to the chat box and you type something. For example, we typed in, write a country song with the style of like Luke Bryan and write it about, you know, my pickle.
Like David Ortiz.
Yeah. Or David Ortiz or something like that. And I got really, as you left, I got really descriptive. Like, all right, I go, write me a song about spring break that took place in 2005. The girls were from here. The guys were from here. We drove this type of car. We went to this type of place. We hung out at this type of place and we did this type of thing. Go. And it wrote a song. Verses, choruses, pre-choruses, bridge, outros, intros. And you could tell it like, I don't like that outro. Can you change the outro? And it'll change the outro. And then you could be like, well, can you give me a title for the song? And they'll give you a title for the song. And this is all artificial intelligence doing this, using basically whatever you give it information to find stuff. And it's pretty good, because remember we typed in Fenway Park or something like that, and it was able to. They got little things about Sweet Caroline and stuff that's unique to Fenway Park and stuff.
Well, good. Sorry.
No, but I'm thinking like, if you were like, I don't know, say you were working for like the music record company and like you have to come up with a song. It's like, you know.
Funny you should say that, because after you left, I was driving home and I was thinking of how you showed me that. And something like that does exist already. I can send it to you. It is eerie as hell. So, and I guarantee within 10 years, we're going to see new records by the Beatles. Like there is I can send it to you. There's a project that they took. So what they did was they took Nirvana. Mm-hmm. They compiled all their albums together, right? And they let the AI compose an entire new song, right? They took all their songs and kind of said, okay, if there would be a new song, this is what it would sound like, right? Okay. And it made the song, the lyrics, the music. They did have somebody sing it though. Mm-hmm. They had a Kurt Cobain impersonator sing the song, but the lyrics and the music are. And I listening to it, it is just fucking eerie as hell, because I'm like, oh wow, that sounds about right. Like that sounds like it would be a Nirvana song. You know?
And now with like the ability to be able to like the deep fakes they do with the people's faces, right? They can emulate voices as well. I mean, so there's no reason the AI can't go through the entire Nirvana, album and be able to get the sound of the tone of Kurt's voice perfectly.
Yeah, that'll be next. Yeah.
Redo that and have it sound like Kurt sings a song. And it's not even him, just using his voice from old stuff. Like, I mean, they do that all the time where they use pieces of like old voices and stuff. Like, what were we talking about? A movie that the person was like pretty much dying when they were doing it, and they had to take pieces of the voice from other movies. Oh, Val Kilmer.
He's alive.
Yeah, so Val Kilmer can't talk anymore, or he has no voice anymore.
It's bad. Yeah, it's not
so they took audio from the other Top Guns in every movie he was in to emulate his voice for the talking scenes in Top Gun. So when you see him talk in Top Gun, that's not his actual voice right now. That's a compilation of AI using his voices from a library of everything he's done to match the voice to his lips, which is fucking crazy.
It is.
I'm if you could do that, there's no reason you couldn't do that with like, yeah, you said a Beatles song or a Nirvana song, someone who's dead. Like,
yeah, you're gonna have an album like 10, 20 years. You're gonna see albums by artists that are already dead. New albums. Like it's gonna be insane.
You know what's funny? No one will own it. No, the band and the family won't own the rights to it because it will be public, public shit. It's out there, right? It's like if they don't renew their rights to the songs, but they're not really. I guess no, they're not really songs. They're brand new songs, so they can be anything you want.
Yeah.
And then with the holograms,
that's cool.
In 10 years, we could go see the Beatles play live with new material.
Those holograms. Yeah, that's fucked up. That's fucked up.
And like the guy, like they show like, oh, this is great and everything, but then they show like how like humans naturally sometimes they get lazy because AI will just do everything for you, and it'll basically be like that scene in what was that movie? It was an animation movie about the robot. And the robot's job was just to pick up shit that was left on a planet, and all the Wall-E, yes, yeah. And all the humans were just fat, and they just sat in recliners, and they were just taking in all the information that the AI was giving them. Like they were like, try the blue shirt, and everyone just put blue shirts on. And they're like, yeah, try this thing, and they just didn't move, and they didn't do anything. They didn't work, they didn't move. Everything was just given to them.
Yeah,
and I could see a certain percentage of the population doing that.
I sent you a link to that song. At least give it to the chorus. Once you hear the chorus, you're like, holy shit. Yeah, that sounds like something that would be Nirvana. That sounds like it would be Nirvana.
I have my fucking service next. Once I get it, I'll take a listen to it later. It's pretty
fucking. It's fucking eerie. Yeah.
Jesus. Well, that's fun. These are the robots. Back in the day, people thought physical robots were going to take us over. No, it's
Terminator, Skynet.
Yeah, it's not physical robots. We don't have to worry about physical robots. It's software. It's stuff that we created. Well, we didn't create, but people, the humans, men, women, everyone created this stuff, like softwares and hardware and stuff. And when does it become smart enough to program itself?
Yeah, that's the problem, and that could be an issue. Like, when does it's like okay, obviously, and it's fucked up because our nature is to destroy things. So obviously, the first question is always asked when something like that develops is, how can we use this in war? Right. And then what's going to happen is they're going to program it to recognize the enemy. But what happens when it gets too smart and identifies you as the enemy?
Right.
So that's. You got to install some kind of fail-safe, you would think, but what if it overrides it?
Like countries could lower the enemy in with holograms and fake voices and fake sounds and stuff, and then throw them off on one thing and then take them and attack them from the other end. Like you don't know if you're fighting a hologram or a human.
Well, I don't know how far it got, but I know our military tried to create a suit. You ever seen the movie? You've seen the movie Predator with Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Yeah.
You know when it's invisible and like you can still sort of see it, but it's almost like a cloaking. Like it's like invisible, but it's shiny. Yeah, the outline like that. But you can see through it. That's what they did. They tried to create something like that. They used like some sort of mirror reflections off it, like a mirror suit to almost project something back that looks like you're seeing through it. So it's like the front is projecting basically what you would see from the back.
Right.
It's really bizarre.
It's like they have that technology now. It's those cameras. Like you see those car cameras that show all sides of the car so that you would think the camera was above the car.
Yes.
But for some reason, they're able to get angles and mirror angles and be able to project it on a screen to make it look like the camera's up here. There's no camera up there. They're just little cameras hidden around the fucking car with crazy lenses.
But as far as creating a combat efficient suit, I don't know how far they got. That seems pretty unlikely.
It's interesting. But that it's you say like suits that soldiers would wear. that almost seems like it's like something that's just not going to happen because you're
not yet.
Yeah,
not in our lifetime.
No, but like you won't have soldiers anymore. Like you won't actually have physical people out there in the battlefields anymore.
Well, that's kind of stupid at some point because it's like then it's just metal fighting metal. Like
I'm thinking not even like physical, like even robots. I think it's just like an online. I think it's just an online
cyber warfare.
Cyber warfare, right? Which, yeah, the casualties we won't have any, but everything's financials. Government information. The electrical grid.
It's true.
Everything is online.
It's true, but at some point you do need, even after that, you need somebody to slide in there with a gun. Like, you know what I mean? You could cripple everybody, but someone still has to show force physically to get in there in the end.
Could that be why countries are just trying to eliminate guns altogether for that reason?
Good luck.
But the thing is, like, I always make the argument, you can ban guns anywhere in the world. Bad guys are still going to find guns. It is what it is, right? So
it's going to find different ways too.
Yeah. But yeah, cyber warfare. It's like World War III will be fought on, like, be nerds sitting there like in one of those like gaming chairs. Like,
well, I always remember what Einstein once said a long time ago. Einstein said, "I have no idea what the weapons of World War III will be, but I know World War IV will be fought with sticks and stones."
Oh.
Because it's like we're all going to blow each other. It's all going to go to basically back to primitive days after that. That's basically what it's saying.
It seems like kind of like counterproductive to any country that wants to blow up another country at this time of the age, the way things are, right?
It won't happen. For that reason. Yeah.
Right. Unless there's an accident, unless it accidentally gets done, or you get some fucking crazy person that, because I always think like, if terrorists really want to do some shit, right? If they really just wanted to like cause some mayhem, they could sit like on a pier and shoot a rocket launcher at an airplane, right? They could like, which may or may have happened in 2000.
Or chuck grenades into a giant electrical grid.
Right.
I mean, those are very vulnerable. This barbed wire fence around.
Yeah, right. So like there's stuff keeping those people away from doing stuff, right? It's like, because you think about it, it's like, what's it going to accomplish? You know what I mean? It's just going to make things hotter at the end. It's just going to, I don't know. It's just,
well, there's nothing left to conquer. That's the thing.
Right. It is right. There's nothing left to conquer. Every piece of this planet has been conquered. And then
if you blow everything to shit, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
And then you have the Antarctica treaty. I think it's Antarctica, where like 7 or countries have stake in it, and like so any
no one can claim it.
Yeah, like any country can claim, like, could do stuff on it with, what I mean, but no one owns it, right? So you can go like mining, or you can go like whatever.
Well, it's for scientific purposes,
right? Yeah, exactly. So it's like it's an interesting situation, right? Like, so that's all the land. Like, there's no other land unless a volcano erupts in the middle of the Pacific or the Atlantic and makes another island. There is no
similar treaty for the moon too.
So how does that? So I understand, like, all right, know how they make islands sometimes, where they just blow sand from the ocean, they make an island.
Yeah, that's dumb shit. Like how we filled in the bay in Boston.
Right. So at what point can I just go out on a boat and just start filling sand up and make a land mass and call it my own country?
You'd have to have a lot of fucking. I don't even know if anybody independently, unless you're Elon Musk, has the amount of power to dump that kind of sand.
It's how they made those islands in Dubai, right? With all the countries and shit, like, which took a lot of money, and they sold like, I think, 4 islands out of all the ones they made, like, because they wanted like crazy money from them.
You would need some serious partners.
But like, I guess technically, if I found the landmass, I could claim it as my own if no one else has claimed it. It's sovereignty, right? It's my sovereign state.
I guess, man. The ocean's pretty fucking deep.
Right. I mean, I'm just thinking like weird, right? We lose water, like the water levels go down or something like that. Because like I know, like, so like state lines, right? So for the state of New Jersey and the state of Delaware, right? They're separated by the Delaware River, right? But when they drew the state lines back whenever, Delaware wanted claim to the entire river. So New Jersey's boundary is once water hits. So once you put your foot in water in New Jersey on that side, you are in Delaware. So Delaware claims all the rights to the river, right?
Interesting.
And like there's some states are like this. I have a book called The States Got This Shit.
Excuse me.
This is one of the interesting. So back in the day, New Jersey needed to expand their land because they needed to build like a bridge and something like that, right? So they had to suck the sand from the bottom of the river to produce land, right? Like they did in Boston and stuff like this. But because the sand was from the river, which is owned by Delaware, the landmass that they built in New Jersey, there's a piece of New Jersey on the tip That's Delaware. It's very interesting.
That is interesting.
It's just like when they did the parallel for Canada and the United States. They kind of ran the rivers and the lakes for a little while, and then they got to a point and they're like, we're just gonna go straight across. But because there was some abnormalities of lakes and stuff, there's pieces of like United States that you can't access without going to Canada, and vice versa. And there's been trades for years, like the countries have tried to be like, all right, I'll trade you the piece that you can't get to for the piece that I can't get to. And the people protest and they don't vote on it. They want to be their own, they want to be in that state or in that country. You know what I mean? It's like fucking 3 locations. There's a location in Seattle, Washington State and British Columbia. There's a location in Minnesota and I believe it's Alberta. And there's a situation in Maine and like Newfoundland or something like that. It's weird. Any day it was fine because people would be able to pass back and forth because the border people knew the people, so it wasn't so you have to go whatever. But during COVID was a problem because they cut the borders off from the states. So if you were in that piece of the United States, you couldn't get to the rest of the United States because you couldn't get technically into Canada. And they had built a water bridge in the wintertime to connect that piece, and it was only open for like 1 month to be able to get supplies to the town from Michigan to go across. It's fucking crazy.
That is interesting.
It's like you live in this piece of like, it's like being in an island, but you can't get to it.
I would always love to know someday, like how certain states are cut the way they are. Like, did somebody lose a bet? No, like, we're going to let this horse run from here to here. And wherever it stops along here, this is the borderline. Like, because you got to sometimes the states are cut fucking horrible.
All right, so this book I had was called How the States Got Their Shapes. It went to every single state and broke down their borders, right? My dog ate it. It was a great book. And there was a short-lived TV series on History Channel called How the States Got Their Shapes, and they would do this. So a lot of these states, so the majority of the state borders are rivers, lakes, waterways, and stuff like that. Yes. Right? Makes sense. For example, the Hudson River runs straight down, right? Now, the state of New York says, we're not going to use Hudson River as a border. We want 20 miles on both sides of the Hudson, so Massachusetts can't have access to the Hudson without going through New York and paying New York taxes. So if you look at the Hudson River, if you go 20 miles to the east, you're in the Massachusetts border exactly. Now, Massachusetts did a similar thing with the Merrimack River. The Merrimack River should have been the natural border between New Hampshire and Massachusetts. Massachusetts stood claim of 10 miles from the Merrimack border on both sides, so that New Hampshire couldn't have access to the ocean from the Merrimack without going through Massachusetts.
That's pretty cool.
And like every state has this. So a lot of them are mountain ranges, like the peaks of the mountains, like the ridge line. Some of them are, once you get out west, it's all a matter of longitude and latitude.
Yeah, it's all
square. They're all straight off.
Yeah.
California wants 200 miles from the ocean to their line. So the coast of California is kind of like a curve shape. They surveyed their land 200 miles from the high water mark inland, straight line. So that's why California is exactly 200 miles wide all the way through. Okay. There are some exceptions when you get down towards like Mexico area, how it gets shaped off a little bit because that's a river that divides that. Well,
there's got to be a few that are just plain stupid, like somebody lost a bet. Somebody like
so actually it was stupid because someone didn't survey right. They missed the line when they came from different directions. The border of Tennessee, Missouri, and Kentucky, there's a piece of land that's only accessible by Tennessee that is part of Kentucky. So you can't get to the rest of your state without going to Tennessee. And the reason was this, because they were surveying and when they were shooting the lines and they met at a certain point, they missed. So all they did was, so say they were off by like a mile, they just connected the line to a mile. So it cut off vital pieces of because there was a waterway there too. So in the islands and stuff. So it fucked everything up. Yeah. And you got to remember, how did they figure that out 300, 400 years ago? Like primitive, surveying equipment, right? They were just, I don't even know what they used a big wheel and they just measured. Fucking crazy.
Yeah. And then a lot of them start off, or even just towns and districts. I don't like you. I'm starting my own town. Fuck you. I don't like your policies. We're going over here. Anybody that wants to come with me, let's go.
Well, that still goes on today with the way they pick your districts for your representatives for the Congress. So the easy way to pick a district would be, I would say, just pick your county, right? So Suffolk County is district, say 1, and all the cities in Suffolk County have this representative, yada, 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 right? No, what they did was they said, well, we only want this portion of Suffolk County, but we want a little bit of Middlesex County and like this city in this part of the city in Essex because of, demographics, who lives there, who they vote for, and all power. And this goes around the entire country. So when you look at some of these like districts, when you ever hear the term redistricting, it's basically they're redrawing the district lines to benefit. And usually this only happens nowadays because you lose representatives because of population swings. But you get to it's not as simple as just it's a county. It's a bizarrest way of management government, but it's like it's all about grabbing people from a certain neighborhood or a certain town that's going to benefit you, that district's voting, whether they will right or left, kind of type of thing. And that's how they play the game. And all right, you're gonna take a little bit of that, but I want a little bit of that. You know what I mean? It's like fucking bizarre. Like, I don't know. Like, so that's like basically the only way they can read. That's the modern way of redrawing lines, I guess, these days, right? So
I guess when you had nothing to live for back then, you know what I mean? You could bicker and negotiate shit like that. Nothing else going on.
Something just popped up. Ghislaine Maxwell apparently is teaching class at her prison.
Isn't that the Epstein, the chick that was like grooming girls for Epstein?
Yeah, what kind of class do you think she's teaching?
Well, we obviously know it's something safe because, she's going to want to get out on good behavior or she's going to get killed in prison probably.
No kidding, right? Well, yeah, someone's just going to drop a bomb on the prison. And they're showing up. Bill Gates is a fucking creep, huh?
He is, though. I give him credit, though. He's a guy who does try to do a lot of good for the world. He's an asshole. Most millionaires, billionaires are, but like he has put a lot of money into good things. So I will give him that.
Well, it probably benefits him at the end of the day, right?
True. Yeah.
It's probably attached to a Microsoft tag. So yeah, you could do this and benefits, but Microsoft wants to own part of it. Which is it's capitalism. I don't have any problem with capitalism, but they just think it's funny. Like, but he's like, I'm like, there was a video of him like they were just showing how like him and Epstein were very good friends. It was proven that like, Gates' wife left him. They were separated for 10 years, but they were really separated. You know what I mean, kind of thing. And I mean, if you're a bazillionaire like Bill Gates, right? You still want to be banging the girl you met in college. You know what I mean? You can bang anyone you want. You're Bill Gates. I mean, the guy's ugly as sin. He's old as dirt. But like, you can walk into if you could find someone enough to play for your pickle for the right price. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's put a lot of money into underdeveloped countries trying to solve issues like, having sanitary conditions and stuff like that. So I give him credit for that. No one ever talks about that, though. Everybody wants to talk about the horrible things. But I give Bill Gates credit for that. But I will say what's funny about him, there's a documentary on the creation of Xbox, the video game console, right? And obviously the development of that started in the early 2000s. And, obviously Xbox was still being made to this day. Right. But there's like video, like raw footage of meetings of him and him being like, you lied to me. You said you could do this. Like, and then the documentary and like him just losing his fucking mind. Like this nerd just completely losing his shit. Like, you didn't understand. You never understood. Like, it's pretty funny to watch.
There's a movie. It's funny that he was portrayed that way because there's also a movie out there called Pirates of Silicon Valley. You ever see this?
I've heard of it. I've not.
It was a made-for-TV movie for the channel TBS that came out, I want to say, maybe 1996, 1997. It has Anthony Edwards plays Steve Jobs, and I forget who plays Bill Gates. It's basically a documentary on the development of Apple and Microsoft at the same time on a parallel line and how they cross paths. And that movie portrayed Bill Gates as being a laid-back, kind of cool guy, and Steve Jobs is a fucking lunatic.
Oh, he was a lunatic too.
But he was a lunatic, right? Yeah. I mean, I think they're all fucking lunatics, to be honest with you.
There was part of the documentary that had me laughing though. So basically, there wasn't a lot of money given to the Xbox team. He liked the idea, but he didn't want to put much into it. So they kind of like slapped together this prototype for the very first Xbox, right? And in the very first meeting, they power this thing up. And it just starts. Like, how a PC, even the older ones, it took forever to boot up.
Right.
Well, the video game console, and it's obviously running on a Windows operating system. It's Xbox, right? And it would just start up. And he like stopped. And he's like, do that again. And like 10 times he had to turn it off and on. It would boot right up. And then he flipped the fuck out. He'd be like, why can't we do this with our computers?
Now they do. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. Like he lost his mind over that. Like, why can they do that?
Xbox was an interesting machine because, like, you're right, it was running on a basic version of Windows that, like a short, dumbed down version of Windows to get it operating. And it was the first console that you didn't need a CD necessarily to play the game.
Oh, you did. But it did have Xbox Live eventually.
Right, but you could download. It was probably the first console you could actually download games to the hard drive, right?
No, probably. Oh,
I'm trying to remember because it was a special niche about. I know they had that live thing where you could play and it's seen you.
Before that, nobody bought it. It was kind of ahead of its time. But I know Dreamcast and even like Sega tinkered around with like live sort of internet, like playing somebody online,
right,
sort of things from a console system, and it just didn't take off. The technology wasn't ready yet, but those were more the innovators.
It reminds me of the Nintendo glove. Do you remember the glove for Nintendo?
The fucking Power Glove. They made a movie on it. It's a horrible movie with Fred Savage.
Yeah, that's right. Yes.
Yeah, where he goes and like plays. He helps his autistic brother basically win a video game competition.
I think that thing, like, I think today's value for that thing would probably, if you bought that brand new back in 87 when they came out, it probably would be about $400 now money for something like that.
They sucked. The Power Glove sucked. I remember I played it once and like it wasn't very responsive. The games that it worked for, it was not responsive. It looked badass.
It was a gimmick. It was cool. It was like you were a RoboCop type thing. You know what I mean? It was an interesting concept. They had the little buttons on there and.
Yeah, it was like a fucking accordion for your hand. It had like buttons all over the fucking.
Like using the gun for duck hunting. Remember that? It was like a long ass cord, and he's sitting there and you're shooting. And if you look at the end of the gun, it was just this little window. And as you got older and you realized technology, basically it found the gun because it was the change of pigment on the screen, and that's how it knew that you hit the duck. That's how it worked.
Yeah.
So like you'd scan the screen, and when you hit the button, and if it was on that pigment color of code, whatever the code said the computer said.
They call it a hitbox.
Right, yeah.
Really, the code is like really just like a small box.
Exactly,
you can't see it. Yeah.
Crazy. When we were I took computers in high school, and we took a class. It was called computer engineering. I think it was 2001, and one of the kids brought in his Xbox, and we put a full version of Windows. At that point, it was Windows. We could only put Windows 95 on it because of after 95, the operating system, I guess, had a different requirement for RAM or ROM memory that wasn't available in the Xbox or whatever. We had to use an older version. But basically, so we loaded. It was crazy. We took the Xbox, we formatted the hard drive that's on there. We added another hard drive for extra space. We put more memory into it. So we took apart the board. We kind of redid the board. And then we loaded Windows 95 on it. And it was like, so we basically built a Fire Stick in 2000.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
And so you had a computer that you could plug into your TV, I guess, and you could access it. So the problem was the controllers, right? They were little round things, right? You had to plug in. They weren't regular connections. So a controller would be he did it so the kid was a genius. He made it so that the mouse would be controlled by the controller. And he was able to somehow plug in a keyboard to it to make it work so he could type. So we were able to, we were just fucking around. We browsed the internet, you know what I mean? Like it's basically like when someone hooks a computer up to the TV nowadays, but like way primitive. Like there was very limited to what we could do with it and stuff like this.
Yeah.
But it was like, oh, that's cool. Who knew that 20 years later, everyone would have a fucking Fire Stick that does the exact same shit, just dummy down. And put on, you know what I mean? It's like, it's incredible.
That's true.
Like I remember when Apple TV came out, that was a big deal. It's like, ooh. And at first I was kind of dumbfounded by the idea. I'm like, why would I, like, what is it? It's just, all right. So you could access, at that time, you couldn't add or subtract apps. You only had like 20 apps on it that were in partnership with with Apple, basically, right? Yeah, like MLB TV and stuff like this. And sometimes you had to subscribe, some was free. And then they had the ability where you could log in, which is why I like the Apple TVs better than the Fire Sticks, is because the Apple TVs allowed you to access your network in your house. So if you had like a computer with a shitload of videos on it, you could stream those videos from that computer from the Apple TV to the TV, 3 rooms over.
Fire Stick,
Fire Stick has this software that you load up, but it does not communicate. I've tried everything to get it to sync up to my computer so I can take stuff off there, and it's just a pain in the ass. It's not as easy as Apple TV was, but Apple TVs were $200 and something, where a Fire Stick's $30. So it's like price over what I needed for it made sense. I don't even know if they make Apple TVs anymore at this point. I haven't seen any advertisements for them.
I don't think so.
It was a good idea at the time. I mean, I used mine all the time, like to watch YouTube, basically. So I have to mirror my fucking phone to the TV. It's just, and here we are, 30 years ago playing fucking Nintendo NES.
Yeah, right.
Bunch of assholes.
We're becoming dinosaurs, my friend.
Like, oh god, it's just it's even weird when you see like a rebroadcast of a TV show from 10 years ago.
You can tell it has like, even if it's been like restored, it still doesn't. It still has a look to it. You can't get rid of it.
Like they were showing I was watching the Celtics game and they were showing replays of the 2010 NBA championship of Kobe and everything.
Wow.
It looked like I was looking at something from like the 60s, like how compared to the box where they had the reporters were sitting in the window behind it. How
it's crazy.
It was. I was like, this is unbelievable. It's just like you take it for granted. Like TVs are just getting bigger. Remember, like when I was a kid, my dad had one of those big screens that had it was the projector. You had to like pull the fucking thing open and it projected the screen.
The ones we need multiple movers to carry.
Oh yeah, it was very cumbersome. But it was I think it was a 50-inch TV. That was the big thing, 50 inches, because the biggest the tube could get was 36. And then so like you watch, and the quality was shitty because it was a projection, right? So it was sunny outside, it was like bright in the house. You couldn't see.
You got to sit in a certain position to see it perfect.
And like now, like you see, like the TV I have was like an 80-inch in the living room, and that thing's clear as fucking. Like I could see skin issues on football players' asses.
I could never want your television. Your TV is almost too big for its area, like to the point where they say you're supposed to like measure the TV the certain size for the living room space and where you're sitting. Your TV is amazing television. The problem is I feel like it is too close to sitting space for where it is.
Yeah. Like, when I'm in my chair, like I still have to pan sometimes. You know what I mean? Like
it's like not. Yeah,
it's like sitting in the first row at like the movie theaters, right? Because you sit there and you have to keep looking to see the whole thing in place. But speaking of movies, we talked about it a couple weeks ago, and I seen a billboard for it on the way home today. 80 for Brady, or Brady for 80, what the fuck it's called.
Yeah, it's 80 for Brady. It's gonna be so bad. Dude.
How terrible can that movie be?
We're gonna be the laughing stock of the United States soon.
Could it be The Room bad?
No, nothing. That's really nothing's going to be that bad for her. No.
It can't be a good movie. I can't think of any. And like Gronk's in it, and they you can tell it's bad because usually on a preview they take your greatest hits of the movie to compile it to the preview, and they didn't do a very good job. And then
I'm going to be bootlegging that one. I'll let you know how it works out.
Yeah, me too. Exactly. I'm not paying for that thing. Gronk's in the preview, so. It's just kind of cool because it would be Patriots, and like I don't even know if Tom Brady even filmed any scenes for it. I think they took clips that they had available on the archives of Tom Brady and like shoehorned it into the movie.
I'm gonna want to find out what the budget for this movie. So like who knows? It could turn a profit if the budget's really low. I'm gonna try to see if I can.
They have Jane Fonda in it. They have who's that other lady who's on all those other movies? She's older. And then, so they have like they have actresses that were, someone years ago, I guess, right?
Yeah. I'm going to have to really dig into this one. Maybe tomorrow when we have nothing to do, I will.
February 3rd it comes out. Yeah. If you're available, I need to see this movie.
February 3rd. Yeah.
I need to watch it just for like, and it's funny. It's February 3rd. It's like the week before the Super Bowl. So like really cranking it up.
The thing is, like, I'm not seeing much on the budget, which is a red flag right there, because it's like they're trying to bury the movie already.
Yeah, I guarantee the week between the Super Bowl and the AFC and NFC Championship, you're gonna have these women. Not only to do like all the news crews set up at the Super Bowl location and stuff. These women will be on at least every radio show in the entire country because they'll be making their rounds because they're like, we just released our movie, 80 for Brady, and it's all about Tom Brady. And do you imagine if Tom Brady makes the Super Bowl this year? What a double promo that would be.
That would be something, but come on, man, that ain't gonna happen.
I mean, he's gonna beat Dallas next week, though.
He could. Yeah, if anybody's gonna do it, I would say I don't trust Dallas. I don't trust Tampa either. That's another like also the Giants Minnesota game is another one I'm nervous about.
Yeah,
that's another one no one can feel comfortable about.
So the only one I don't feel comfortable with, I'm kind of going home team for everything, I think, except for the Jacksonville Chargers game. I think the Chargers have the ability to win a game in Jacksonville.
You see, I'm going Jacksonville. I am going just because Jacksonville's been hot the last month or so. That's the only reason. You know,
it's only like a 2.5 point spread. It's like it's really, really, really tough to fight. That's a tough fucking game.
Just the Chargers are on a shorter rest, coming from Denver, high altitude. They lost players to injury during that game. Also,
true.
I don't know. It's a toss.
First round might be. I mean, the Dolphins are putting out like a Pop Warner team because they have no one like available. So it's like.
But the tough one about that is, I think everybody can agree the Bills are going to win that game. It'd be an upset of the century if the Dolphins won. But is 13 points a little too much?
Yeah, I think 13.
You know what I mean? That's the tough part.
That's a lot for any playoff game.
By 13.
Yeah, people are going to tease it though. People are going to think, all right, we'll bet the over the 13 mark because they're going to put up a lot, or either.
Then you could say they're on the third string quarterback, so you could go a couple ways with that. Really
it's a tough one to go with. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I think that. I don't know if there's any surefire games this round. To be honest with you, maybe. I mean, I guess you could say Cincinnati, Baltimore, but you
could say, with the Bengals defense is actually pretty good. 8.5 spread. I don't know. Bengals are going to win. Bengals are going to win.
Yeah, this is a bad week to be dependent on the spread. I think it
is. It really. It is. And the over.
Yeah, then the over. I think the game is going to be they're going to be close games. I think. So, I don't know. I wouldn't go. I'd just be picking straight out winners and losers this week if I was betting in the big house. Just make it easy,
For sure.
It's that. And then the matchup afterwards, because they reseed in football. They go, so it could be interesting. I mean, because Tampa's a 4 seed. They're not a wild card team. So if there's an upset coming through with a 6 or a 5 or 6 or a 7 team, I mean, Tampa has a potentialness to even have a second round home game. I mean, that's the world of difference down there. And then
that's true.
And then even go even further out, which is very highly unlikely, but could happen, would be like Philly getting knocked out in the second round to a lower seed team. And then all of a sudden that lower seed team is playing Tom Brady in the NFC Championship with Tampa with home field advantage with a losing record.
Mm-hmm.
Anything is possible.
True.
All right, we're getting close to the end here. Anything you want to plug? Or
no, sir. Just looking forward to the weekend. It's just so I'm exhausted from doing nothing. That's the sad part. Like this week, it has been like horribly boring, and I'm tired. I don't know why.
The days go by very, very slowly.
They do.
They're just like slow motion. All right, we over with. Looking at the clock, it's like it's fucking only 11. Yeah, break up my day, but and you just get me up on the Wicked Explorers on YouTube or twexplorers.com for all that stuff.
Now go
check
them out.
Boy, have fun. All right, well, guess we'll just see you guys next week. So toodaloo, bye.